Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the conversation right here on Lagos Television. After many weeks of the campaign to have a nationwide protest, because I've heard so many slogans now, end bad governance, end hunger, and so many things. I've eventually started yesterday, of course, the day one of the protest, mixed reactions or mixed protest level. In Abuja and Lagos, relatively peaceful, but of course, pocket of violence in so many states, from Yobe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Kano, even in Mina, Niger State. There you have it. But of course, the sacrosanct conversation is how to manage it, because we had some precursor to the process itself. We had issues. Please don't let this be about what happened during the NSAS. Please go about your lawful business. You can protest, which is your lawful right, but of course, do maintain peace. The conversation is, how do we assess it, or how do you think the protest has fared so far? We have in the studio to help us with the conversation very important people, I must say, this morning. We have the PPRO of Lagos Police Command, Benjamin Hundeyi. It's a pleasure to have you join us in the studio. And of course, we have a broadcast journalist and a public affairs commentator, Mr. Taiwo Olokpade. It's a pleasure. He's right there joining us as well. It's a pleasure to have you two gentlemen. But I'll first get this particular question off my mind. The spokesperson or the legal, the lawyer to one of the coalition, Mr. Adegboruwa, SAN, said, look, despite the provocation by the police, yeah, that's what he said. He said it was still peaceful. They were able to protest and air their opinion. Is it true that police actually provoked protesters yesterday?
Okay, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show today. So I think the right way to put it would be despite the provocation from the protesters. Because I'm sure your cameras were there, journalists were there. I can't see any evidence of any provocation from the police. I know what they're referring to as provocation, that we asked them to leave Alausa, and we're simply enforcing a court order. The court order stated it clearly that any other place in Lagos apart from the Gadifari Park and the Peace Park is not allowed for protest. So we were doing our job, and they see it as provocation. So there was absolutely no provocation. I think but I can confirm that there were a series of provocation from the protesters. You know, they challenged us. The commissioner of police was in Alausa yesterday, and somebody attempted to poke his megaphone in the CP's face and was saying, "Can you swear?" You know, he was trying to use vulgar language. So the provocation was from there, but we managed it, and there was peace all through.
How about Lekki Toll Gate?
Yes, we are at Lekki Toll Gate too, and people gathered there too, which was also against the court order. And we told them to proceed to the approved protest ground, and they refused, and we tried and tried and tried and tried. So I know some people have seen videos from them. Of course, people would always say stories to suit their narrative. There are videos from them saying that, oh, police was high-handed. I also have videos. We made videos where we took a lot of time to convince them. Yeah, we took a lot of time to convince them to leave, but they would not leave. And the number was swelling. And that was just a precursor to anarchy. We've seen this before. We shouldn't allow it to happen again. We should learn from history. So at the point, we had to disperse them. So that happened. Yes, we fired a canister of tear gas. A canister of tear gas. And it did the job. Nobody was hurt. We did not fire live bullets, and everybody dispersed. And there was relative peace, there was free flow of traffic, people were happy, and everything went well.
Does it get to a position where you get to fire the live bullet before? I thought it was just...
No, because I was seeing the narrative, so I needed to clear that. Okay. And people were saying online that, oh, police was firing live bullets. They were firing live bullets, so I needed to clear that, that nothing of such happened.
Okay. I know you are a journalist, and of course, you were in different parts of Lagos yesterday. Give us your own perspective of what you saw on the part of the police as well as the protesters.
Thank you so much. Of course, yesterday, the day one of the protest, the hunger or the actual protest, as it was tagged, the roads in Lagos and, of course, some part of the country from what we monitored The road was deserted. Many businesses were also under lock and key, and in the build-up to the protest, I did a piece, hardship protest, legitimate but potentially counterproductive. And that's exactly what we eventually saw in some part of the country yesterday. It started peacefully. Protest by our constitution is legit. It is legitimate for Nigerians to protest, by our constitution, section 39, 38, 40, thereabout, gave us the rights, guaranteed the right of Nigerians to associate, to freedom of association, or to also protest, as the case may be. But we know that there is no freedom that is total. There is no freedom that is total in the sense that even if we have the rights enshrined in the Constitution for us to protest, we know the protest must also be within the ambit of the law. And in the build-up to this protest, like had been rightly pointed by the spokesman for Lagos Police Command, the federal government and some other state government, they also went to court so that, and the court gave a ruling that the protest should be restricted to some areas, going by what we experienced, particularly during the NSAS protest of the year 2020. I don't think any right-thinking government will also want to allow a repeat of that NSAS protest. And exactly, you saw what happened in Niger State.
Perhaps,
you saw what happened in Kano State.
Let me take you up on that. Of course, we're looking at Section 40 or 41 of the Constitution now, which gives us the right of association and all that. But of course, we're also trying to extend the Constitution by going to the court to get judgments. And I don't know on which law. Perhaps the courts are also trying to adjudicate something. Hopefully, we can get the courts to test when we get to the Supreme Court. But don't you think we are trying to limit the people from having their procession, gathering people? Must it only be, how about the police or security agents protecting the people as against limiting them to a particular place?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. Maybe a lawyer can really expatiate further on that. But I see a reason why both, particularly the federal government and Lagos State government, approach the courts through ex parte injunction, to restrict the movement of the protesters. Bearing in mind that we all agreed that protest is legit, is our constitutional right. I've joined protests in the past before. But because government continued to emphasize the fallout of the NSAS protest, and you can see reason why government was saying that let this protest be restricted so that the security men can also provide cover for them, provide also security for them. You see what happened in some other states, particularly Kano, and I really sympathize with the people of Kano. Unfortunately, Governor Abba Yusuf said he will welcome the protesters, that we welcome them with open hand. But unfortunately, see what has become of Kano. Now, Kano has imposed a 24-hour curfew in that state because the protest eventually, it became so violent that some protesters had to go and loot the Nigerian National Community Commission industrial park that was expected to be commissioned by next week. Can we say that is a justified protest? So we also saw that in some part of the north. We saw it in Yobe, we saw it in Borno, we saw it in Kaduna State. And eventually we also recorded some losses, which are also called collateral damage. Because ordinarily a simple, a peaceful protest shouldn't lead to people now looting or disturbing others, or eventually what we witnessed in Kano. Okay,
people, let me just bring you in here. Some people, yesterday, just walking around Awolowo here, I saw trucks of policemen and all that. Some of the protesters said, look, Lagos actually went all out for like a show of force. They call it intimidation. They call it harassment. What were you scared of that made you deploy virtually everywhere you go? Like you find a unit or policemen virtually everywhere.
No, so it's not about fear. It's about
Awareness.
it's about building confidence in, especially non-protesting Lagosians. So we've received lots and lots of messages, calls, text messages, people who lost their businesses totally during the NSAS protest, people who are yet to recover, people who lost loved ones in the build-up of traffic because they could not get to the hospital early enough, people who lost appointments, contracts, because they could not make an interview. So we received lots of calls from people saying, please don't let it happen. So the trucks and the policemen you saw were just to build confidence in people, to let them know that we are here for you. We would protect protesters as long as they remain peaceful, but at the same time would not let any breakdown of law and order happen. Okay,
I have a question for you, Ben. Day one, which was yesterday, was peaceful in Lagos. And according to Joshua, some have, talked about provocations. So what strategies do you have in place to ensure the protest in Lagos remains peaceful and of course, across the states in Nigeria? What strategies are in place to ensure the protest remains peaceful while protecting public order?
Okay, the strategies put in place started long before the protest itself. We went around Lagos and had stakeholders meeting with different groups, with Yaloja, Babaoja, with student union leaders, even NURTW, traders. We met everybody and we made them understand that they were free to protest, but do not be violent. So it started from there. And so now that the protest has started, the CP was on air yesterday. I don't know if when I mean on air, with our walkie-talkie to radio and talk to all police units out there to let them know that they needed to be extremely patient with people, be patient. And he showed that himself yesterday when he was in Alausa. People were being unruly, but he was patient with them. And this morning, in fact, he has gone on air twice today, 2:30 a.m. He was on air when we were doing our deployment, because we started our deployment around 2 a.m., deploying men. And he kept warning them, be patient. So that's part of the strategy we are using. And this morning, again, he has gone on air to tell everybody to be patient. So we want to be as patient as possible. In fact, he particularly said that no tear gas should be used. Except it is absolutely necessary. So we want to be as patient as possible. We want to absorb lots of insults. We want to do all of that just to make sure there is peace. But if it's getting out of hand, I can also assure troublemakers that we have loads of tear gas canisters. I'm not trying to intimidate, but it's just a statement of fact. We have loads of them. So if things try to get out of hand, we're going to use them to make sure that we don't have a repeat of what happened in 2020.
So it's okay to say that we have learned our lessons.
The hard way.
All right, my question is for you, I guess over here. Looking at the current state of the protest, it was peaceful over here, but looking at the north, I find it quite shocking because I wasn't expecting it to turn out that way. Do people really understand what a peaceful protest means? Because I can say that what happened yesterday was more like a riot. Do people really have that understanding? Because even here in Lagos, before the protest came, I hear people saying, I'm like, do people really understand what they are even standing for? I think if we begin to address that, then we can have a better thing. So what's your take on that?
Well, before moving to the northern part of the country, let me say that for what we saw in Lagos, because we also moved around and to monitor the protest, and I'm not surprised with the statement coming from the Lagos state government, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, appreciating the way the protesters conducted themselves so peacefully, and he also made it clear in that statement that the government is also responding to the demands of Nigerians, and if you also permit me, he said they're also looking towards ensuring that they force down the prices of food items and the like. So that's the reason why the protest was peaceful in Lagos State. And if you want to compare Lagos and maybe some northern part of the country, number one, there are these issues with the enlightenment, and also education is also a major challenge in that part of the country. Most of them, I want to be careful with my analysis. Some of them are not lettered, so they don't really understand what exactly the reason why they are out there. However, two wrongs doesn't make a right, because there is hunger in the land, because we are all in it together, whether you like it or not. And I keep making reference to that sad story of October 2020. I don't know even when it's still at Lagos, despite being so rich. I don't know how many years it will take Lagos to also recover from the losses of that the NSAS. Particularly, I was saddened by the way the DNA center in Marina, it was just newly built, about to be commissioned, the way the NCC center was also burnt down, looted in Kano State. And it was burnt down. Likewise, you know how many BRT buses we lost? You can see the fallout now. You see queues at BRT buses because some of us have also damaged, have also burnt all those buses. All those, but they were innocent. So you said, how come that peaceful protests eventually turned violent? And that's the reason why government said there are people with interior motive. And that's exactly what that played out in Kano State. In Kano, in Yobe, in Borno, in Kaduna State.
Mr. Olapade, just let me butt in there.
Yeah.
Is it because of what happened during the NSAS? Does that mean we should deprive people of expressing their opinion in 2024? The reality of hunger, is it not there? The reality of bad governance in so many positions, of so many people with position of authority, is it not visible? Are you saying that people are not hungry, and because of what happened in 2020, we shouldn't protest?
Well, I never said that. What my position and what I've said is that we are all in it together, whether you like it or not. Hunger doesn't recognize whether you are APC, you are PDP, you are Labour, you are SDP. It's no respecter of person. We are all in it together. However, because, and like I said, protest is legit by our constitution, which you have also rightly pointed out, by our constitution. The constitution allows us a freedom to associate, a freedom to also express our grievances. But the worry, like I said, is because of the turnout of events during that NSAS protest. And we can see we are also delving towards that in the northern part of the country. And the reason why the governors has now imposed curfew in Niger State. We have seen curfew imposed in Kano State, in Yobe, and also in part of Borno State. Peaceful protest is allowed, but like I said, there are people with interior motive, and that's exactly what has also played out in some part of the country where the protest has also turned violent. And I know that whether you like it or not, I know government is also not sitting back. They know that definitely they need to address this issue frontally. We know there is hunger in the land. And I don't think that anybody will be appointed or elected into office to want to make people to suffer, to want to make people or to deny people their rights.
But the reality shows that, coincidentally, I was out yesterday for over 2 years. I haven't been to a particular place of Alausa where I saw a police officer. He said, is it not true that he was speaking Hausa, so I understood? They say, is it a lie that there's people are hungry? And I was wondering. So that question.
So Joshua, if imagine you as a child, if you were hungry, will you shout on your mother or your father to give you food?
Thank God I'm not a child.
So
hunger
for me.
Daddy, give me food. I'm hungry.
Hunger can trigger anger. Yes. And that was part of what we saw yesterday.
I said somebody went traffic light and knocked it down. What were you
before your question, Joshua, to Mr. Benjamin?
Yes.
I want to ask Taiwo a question. You are saying that, we are all in it together. We are in it together more than some people are more in it than the others. And when you look at the lifestyle of those we have elected, it is contrary to what the people is facing, except you are not in Nigeria. Tell me if I'm lying.
Well, I agree with you.
As we are now, some members of House of Reps are out of the country,
not in the country.
and you listen to what the Senate President said the other time. You can protest. We'll be eating.
Well,
At a time like this,
I'm not here to also defend either the Senate President or the government, but I'm speaking also as a Nigerian and also as somebody who also monitors events in the political space. The Senate President, the one that you mentioned, he has retracted through his special advisor on communication that he never said that. I know it's very common with our politicians. They will say something, they will say they are misquoted or they are wrongly quoted and the like. So that does it for the Senate President. But in terms of hunger in the land, we know there is so much hunger in the land. No doubt about that fact. But however, the government is also the need for us to also ensure that whether we like it or not, we can't say because there is hunger in the land, we now also go haywire to destroy property. The protest is peaceful. I didn't mean there was no violence. If it didn't turn violent in part of the country, definitely it will still go on. But because there is hunger, it doesn't give us the leeway to now say, okay, well, let me also vent my anger on somebody who is also innocent. We keep referring to what we witnessed in Lagos in the 2020. If, God forbid, you also suffer the loss during that process, I'm sure you will never want to say, okay, even the process that will be peaceful, we never want to
some of us were here
want to allow to be part of it.
We followed the back.
You have to jump the fence.
We jumped the fence.
So,
Mr. Labade,
protest is peaceful.
You seem you're not getting my question.
No.
What I'm saying is this.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this. I will never subscribe to anybody going violent.
Okay. True.
What do you think our political class should begin to do?
Well,
so that the people can see that, okay, we are all in this together.
Well, I'm of the opinion, and I also want to reiterate that the cost of governance in our country at the moment, we need to cut the cost of governance. I will always subscribe to that, and I will always defend it anywhere, anytime. Because if you look at it, when the issue of 160, is it 160 or 120, 140 million naira vehicles for
the SUVs.
National Assembly, the SUVs, I was like, what exactly is going on? And I asked the question, if there's a traffic on the road, this SUV, does it have the capacity to fly on the sky and be like a chopper or be like, so why do we really need to?
Even if it does.
Okay, we'll get back to you, Mr. Olopade, but we have our Abuja Bureau Chief joining us live from Abuja, Adigwe Garogbodo. Good morning to you. What exactly is happening in Abuja, day 2 of the protest?
Well, right now, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
But right now, everything is still relaxed, just like yesterday. As at this time of yesterday, everywhere was cool and calm. Even all the satellite towns were so relaxed as at this time of yesterday. So today as well, it's like, last night, because of what went around, because of all the videos of the violence that took place around the city yesterday. So everywhere is still relaxed now. We get to town this morning, and there's no sign of anything. Even at the stadium, the people there are so campy. They are not really ready for anything for that now. But we cannot say, because as the day unfolds, anything can happen. That's like what happened yesterday. But we are just hoping that the violence that took place yesterday will not happen today. All the satellite towns was quite along the axis that leads to Nasarawa State. The boundary between Abuja and Nasarawa State, which is Nyanya and Maraba side. It was violent, there are some deaths, there are a lot of cars that are turned on the road. But I was caught up in the east. Thank God we were able to escape somehow yesterday evening. So it was not terrible. So, but right now, people are now like, want to know what exactly will happen before they step out. So, and the officers, we don't know what's their plan right now, but at this point now, nothing is really happening in town.
Okay, two issues I really want to raise with you, because I know privately you raised some of your concerns yesterday before you got home. You had to hop into some car for a car ride to help you get to your destination yesterday. What's the security situation as at today, or do you foresee something happening because it developed with time? And secondly, yesterday, due to the fact that they couldn't get enough mileage from where they were at the MKO stadium, they wanted to proceed, or they proceeded to the Eagle Square. Is the same thing happening today?
Now, yesterday, what I noticed was that when we're coming from our base into the town, to the main city, now we noticed the presence of security agents, what's called of the police, soldiers, everyone. They were all at the very beginning of the city. That's somewhere around AYA. You know, very well. So, and from there on to where we have the 3 arms zone, you will see the presence of security vehicles. They were just at every junction. In fact, there are some roads that we have to 2 roads. I mean, as in double lanes were reduced to 1. Just make sure that, they could really manage the inflow of traffic. So, and again, because you only see the sense of the security people in the city. But those satellite towns, they were not really present. I don't know if they have thought that maybe nothing will happen in those areas. But later in the evening, you will see their vehicles, the security people zooming to those satellite towns. Like Ganyanya. When I was coming from the office around 3 p.m. yesterday, the whole stress in the Eagle Square area has already gone down. Even though we could see helicopters, police helicopters roving the place specifically, and again we have some sporadic shooting. Maybe they're shooting canisters, we don't know. We came out from our office in the house, that's along in the central area there. But by the time we came towards Nyanya, the whole road, you could see burning of tires everywhere was just clouding, full of clouds. I mean, there's smoke everywhere. So we didn't know. We had to just maneuver to get close to power. Like when we got to Nyanya, come and see it. It was really, a few with this crowd. The place was everywhere was, you could see them handing, carrying lamps, carrying iron, everything. And they harassing, so we could see the security people around that place then.
Okay.
Where they overload. But when you come to the city today, we are not thinking that they might want to come to the Eagle Square today. Because if you look at the Eagle Square is just directly opposite the National Assembly and the Villa.
Is the 3 arm zone.
So, and the security network there was quite strong yesterday. In fact, when we were doing our report, they were taking some shots there, of course, we were so cautious, the security agency there. But those people came, when they came from the regular stadium, they were trying to be by force, they wanted to enter that place. And the person are not because of the court order, I said, okay, they should restrict themselves to the regular stadium. So today, I believe people are taking more practice measures to remove them, to prevent them from really coming down to that area.
Arogbodo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was going to ask you that the Inspector General of Police yesterday addressed the media, and he did say that the officers and men of the Nigerian police, they are going to be on red alert. Is that reflecting in the FCT today?
Yeah, in the middle town, you could see their presence everywhere. I mean, you could see the police presence, the other security agencies, the civil defense corps, everywhere. You could see them. You could see their people at every junction, every street. So, and they were just because as of that yesterday, I noticed that under AYA bridge, under Horizontal bridge, which is the link to the city. Now you could see the men of the police and men of the civil defense force. They were all there. They were sitting, waiting for those boys from police. They're trying to prevent them from coming to town. So today as well, we don't see their presence on the road. And the police presence and everywhere, all the junction. So I think they're really like.
Would you say just to button? Would you say the police performed well yesterday, or perhaps the security agents did?
They performed well to very that extent, because I must tell you, before those people came to the
Eagle Square, yes.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like, in fact, everything that we had was just after from yesterday. But it was kind of preventing them from entering, from getting access to the Eagle Square. And they were like getting riots.
Okay.
That's when they started shooting. They were looking at them like this, because they're part of the people that came from the stadium. So it was
I think the network is
there.
the network. We might need to connect with you again.
Your network seems to be this thing. Is it because of the strike? We don't protest. We don't know, but of course, we'll call you back when we sort out this line. It seems to be shaky. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like to ask Benjamin, another question. I've not been out there as at this morning.
Obviously.
I came in very early today, this morning. So, is the Nigerian police, working with other security agencies or local authorities to manage this protest effectively?
Yes, definitely. The LTV crew was in the police headquarters yesterday, and they could see men of the Nigerian Army, Navy, Air Force, DSS, Civil Defense, Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps. So everybody, they converge at the headquarters every morning. As I was leaving the headquarters this morning, so they are there. And from there we deploy. So we work in synergy under one command.
So on your way here, how was it, with the protest?
Not one protester was saying today. Not one. So maybe they have a different time for today. But when I was coming, the area was calm.
Or they have converged on the Ojota Park.
Or possibly.
So, okay, I need to, there was a line of thought, but we need to go in the next 2 minutes. You will be staying here, but Mr. Olopada will let him go. We have 2 more guests that will be joining us. I was at a particular place yesterday, and hearing the police officer talk about the hunger is for everybody, and of course you can see that he's visibly, if not for the fact that he's got that should be AK-47 with him pointed to the ground. I'm sure if the situations were turned, he will be part of those protesters. How do you handle those
trigger happy?
Not trigger happy, who perhaps sympathize with the people, or better still, are they motivated enough not to also let their own personal emotion show? Because you might say that you've trained them, you've done that, you've provided for their welfare, but of course they're also human beings. They are not insulated from going to the market.
So I don't know if I get your question right, but like you said, we are human beings. We have our own opinions, and the major thing here is that he is a police officer and is duty bound to protect life and property.
Even if he's hungry.
So whatever he said, that's his job.
Even if he's hungry.
That's his job. Even if you are hungry, you'll still do your job here. The terms of service, there's nowhere I saw hunger there. My appointment letter, nowhere hunger was made reference to. So it's not a reference point for us. It's his job to protect life and property. So whatever he said in his personal capacity. I have been appointed to speak on behalf of the Lagos State Police Command. So I would not put whatever he said into cognizance.
Okay, Taiwo, as we let you go now, for anyone that might want to protest today, what would be your advice for them?
Well, like I earlier pointed out, protest is legit. It's legitimate by our constitution. We have mentioned section 3940 thereabouts. It's allowed. However, I also want to quickly say that some of the way out of this protest or of the crisis that we are currently engulfed with in the country is for the government to ensure. I find it so difficult to believe that in the last 25 years of the return of unbroken democratic practice in the country, we have not deemed it fit to either build a new refinery or to even make those 4 that we used to be proud of functional. And an individual Nigerian, Aliko Dangote, built a refinery for about $20 billion, and yet this man is being frustrated. We need government to ensure that our refineries are back working. We need government to ensure that the security crisis that has led farmers not to go back to their farm, particularly in the north. Government, I know government is working, but they need to roll up their sleeves and do more in this regard. We know that the cost of food items are on the rise because, particularly, like I said, the farmlands are like a no-go area because of insurgency, kidnappers, and the like. So government really needs to do more in ensuring that the farmers can go back to the farms, supply them with farm input like fertilizers and the likes. And more importantly, in the last 1 year of President Tinubu's administration, before he came into office, what we normally share as fact between states, federal government, and the local government is around 900 billion naira. Now we have crossed the threshold of 1 trillion. The last time I checked for the month of June, it was around about 1.3
So to
trillion.
sum everything up now,
I'm saying that
you are calling on government.
I'm calling on government, but particularly we focus more on the federal government. We know the president his mandate is to ensure that we have a good governance, we have a good environment, Nigerians are happy. But what have we also done with our state governors? What have we done with our local government chairmen? The local government chairmen are the government at the grassroots. We are so close to them. So we need to also ask them, what have they been doing with the money they have been collecting, both states and the local government? If
I'm
they are
sure
channeling
we
this
get to
money
put those questions to some of our guests who will be coming in very soon. We thank you very much, Taiwo Olakpade, broadcast journalist and public affairs commentator, for your comments and contributions on the program this morning. Like Joshua said, the PPRO of the Lagos State Police Command
is not going anywhere. We are not through with him.
So we'll take a very quick break on the program to bring in some other guests who will be giving us their own perspective on the whole nationwide protest. Day 2 today of the protest. We'll be back.